TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zimet, your State Farm Insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zimet and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. Welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed, podcast number 36, if we have that right. I'll have to double check that. But of course, honored and privileged to have with Lieutenant Colonel Dave Dosier. Dave, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, TD. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was just researching you a little here, and 28 years of service to our country. Thank you so much for that, David. I'm looking at your, in case you ever forget what a badass you were back then, you got a great picture of you with your beret on, and I noticed the oak leaf on the hat. Tell us about the oak leaf. What is the significance of the oak leaf there? Is it? Or is that an oak leaf? What is that there on the top?
You nailed it. That's exactly right. That is an oak leaf, and that's the symbol that we use for two different ranks in the Army anyway. If it's a gold oak leaf, it's a major, and if it's a silver oak leaf, it's a lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does it go? Captain, lieutenant? How does it go?
It goes lieutenant. Well, it starts at second lieutenant, first lieutenant, and then captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, and then you get into brigadier general, major general.
Okay.
General.
The only lieutenant colonel I knew was Henry Blake on the MASH TV show.
Yes.
Did you aspire to get to that rank? Was that something you wanted to do?
I did not. I'll be honest with you. I basically joined to pay for college, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
And it did. It paid for college. It got me through a bachelor's degree, and so I owed the Army some time, so I went on active duty as an officer. And I would say along the way, I actually tried to escape. I tried to get out a couple of times. The first time I tried to get out, I had a plan, and then it turned out my wife was pregnant, and I got nervous, and I said, it's not time to make a big change, so I'll just stay in for one more assignment. And I did, and then 9/11 happened, and I got caught up in the stop loss, so I couldn't get out. And by the time I could get out, I was over 10 years of active duty, and I got promoted, and I'm like, well, it would be foolish now to get out. So,
right.
But by then, I had really changed my perspective on service and what it meant to be a soldier, to be an officer. So I certainly didn't stay in just for the money.
It's a great quote here from when you were doing the weekly on campus here, when you were doing where the officers, where the soldiers would come and visit the cadets there, and you say, quote, when he teaches cadets the value of preparation and how to treat others with respect. I really like that. Instilling them in a sense of purpose. Here's your quote. We perform a function for the country that is critical. A lot of young people will do this for various reasons, money for college, like you said, or if to look cool, like in the movies, that kind of thing. But I try to be pretty real with them and talk about how important the job is. So you can't lose sight of that, just how important this job is, right?
No, you really can't. And I also want to put a shout out to my wife, Dawn, who really embraced, it does take... when people are married and in the military, it takes both people to be really committed for it to work out. And she was just as committed as I was to that.
Some people say you both should be committed. That's a whole other story.
Fair enough.
So let's talk about this. Now, on October 4th, 2025, club member Dave Dosier will attempt a 100-mile run in the Hennepin 100-mile foot race in an effort to raise money for the scholarship program. Now, I was just talking to somebody this morning about a 100-mile race. I was looking up how many there are across the country, and there's several, hundreds of them. But the race he was talking about used to be run by horses. He said it was run by horses, and then one time the guy's horse was sick, so he ran it himself, and that became a foot race after that.
Yeah, I've heard that story as well.
Now, tell us about the Hennepin, the one you were in, the Hennepin 100.
Yeah, so the Hennepin 100 is a local race, regionally, I should say, a local race in that terms, but it starts in Sterling, Illinois, and it follows the Hennepin Canal.
Oh.
And so you're going, which is, of course, a man-made canal. And if you go the full length of it, it is about 100 miles. So it's pretty good. Now, it's flat as all get out. I mean, of all the races you could do, this is about as flat as it gets because you're literally right next to a
No
canal.
suicide hill or
No
okay.
suicide hill, nothing like that. So it's from that standpoint, it's pretty good. But a really flat race like that has different challenges. Like there's some monotony. There's no reason to ever stop running. You know, like if there's hills, you usually walk up the hills
Right.
and run down. But if there's no hills, there's really the only reason you would stop running is if you make a decision like, okay, I'm going to walk for a little while.
Now, the research I did, one of the questions was asked is, do people sleep during the 100-mile race? And I guess some people do take a little cat naps there along the way. But
Yeah, they do take a little cat naps in there, but there is a time limit, so it's limited. It's limited, right? So I think there was a 30-hour time limit for Hennepin, and like I say, I finished in like 25 hours.
so your goal was 24 hours?
My goal was 24. I didn't quite make it. I'll be honest, I gave up on that goal pretty early. In the race, it was suddenly like, I don't care anymore. I just want to finish. But yeah, and I didn't take any cat naps on this one, but I have taken cat naps before, yeah.
So what was your goal to average? Because I see the women's champion, she averaged 7-point-something minutes per mile.
Yeah.
Almost the entire way, 80 miles of that way. I just can't imagine that. But,
I can't
but did you
either.
have a pace that you kept or roughly kept there?
Well, I didn't. I knew that if I went under 15, like a 14:56 would get it done in 24 hours. But some of those miles just got really. I got to the point where I was just running for time. I run for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes,
Okay.
run for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes, and so some of my miles ended up being 18, 19 minutes. So I definitely fell off pace. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many people were in the race? How many people start?
I think there were about 300 that started that.
300,
particular
really?
race.
Okay. And they start you just like a normal race?
Yeah.
And it must be very interesting to see what you see along the way. I mean, did you jump out ahead, or were you kind of conserving in the back there?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty conservative. Like the woman you just described. So there's somebody way up there for sure, just
Yeah.
running like crazy. But no, I was definitely in the back.
So when you decided, and let's point this out, you did this for a charity too. My wife, proud member of the Kishwaukee Sunrise Rotarians. They provide 3 scholarships to local high school students who have overcome difficult odds to graduate. The scholarship is designed to help them take the next step in their educational journey. In the past, some of our recipients have been homeless during their high school years. Enough natural and man-made tragedies or overcome incredible difficult medical conditions to reach the finish line. Our goal is to expand this program to provide bigger scholarships, a second-year award to support our initial awardees. So what a great idea for a scholarship. Not
Yeah.
just somebody who's excelling academically, but somebody who really, really needs it, right?
Right, and there aren't a ton of scholarships out there for people like that. I mean, there's lots of scholarships out there for top performers and those kinds of things, but students who have really worked hard to get there and overcome those kind of things, yeah, not many out there.
That is great. Yeah, it's a great Seinfeld episode where George wants to give the scholarship to a kid with a C average.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a good kid, a C average, solid C average. So you decided to do this. We're going to talk about you leading up to this. So you got sponsorship, and I understand Dave will be posting videos of his progress with shout-outs for people who donated $100 or more. Did you have some people that did that?
Yeah, I did. I think we raised about $1,300 from this event, and so that was good. So I took a camera with me and I filmed while I was running and at some of the aid stations, and I would say like, hey, you know, so and so, thanks for donating and those kind of things. So somebody told me, man, I had to watch all those videos because you didn't mention me until the last one. I'm like, well, then it worked.
That
right?
worked. So what time of the day did they start the race?
This one started at, I think it was 7 a.m.
7 a.m., okay.
Yep. So I was finishing around 9, almost 9 a.m. the next day.
And was it a loop, or you said, or you came, or you just a straight?
It was weird. It was an upside down T.
Okay.
You start at the top, you run down, then you would run east, and then turn around and run west and go past the point that you hit it and just keep going. And then you finished in Kelowna, Illinois, which is kind of like East Moline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know with marathons they have everything all laid out with signs and indicators. And we hear horror stories about people taking a wrong turn and going the wrong way. Was it well laid out, the course for you to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be really hard to make a wrong turn on this one. And the aid stations were great. There were lots of people there, lots of support, and you could have family members too, like meet you at some of the aid stations. They opened up to where you could get to them with cars. And so, you know, it's nice to know that, okay, somebody's going to meet me at mile 47 and that'll be good. Yeah.
I was thinking about your mind over matter because there must have been a lot of pain involving blisters and things like that. But I don't know if you saw a movie back in the day. It was a made-for-TV movie. It was called Tribes with Jan Michael Vincent.
Okay.
And he was a Marine, and he was directed in the Marines with a long-haired hippie. And then one of the things they had to do was hold these sand buckets up on their with their arms there.
Okay.
And he went into like a mental trance when he could do it. And this drill sergeant really hated it. But he was so amazed that this kid could hold these buckets up for so long. Do you kind of get into a little trance like when a 100-mile race, that's 24 hours. I mean, where does your mind go during that time?
Yeah. Well, first of all,
Did you ever see that movie, by the way?
I didn't.
Oh, you got to
I
look that
gotta
one
see
up.
that.
That's correct. It's classic. Jan Michael Vincent Tribes. Is
It's interesting that you mentioned that because there are times, like, first of all, let me acknowledge, this is not normal.
No.
Okay, running 100 miles is not normal. So I
It's
don't
not.
want anybody listening to think that I'm like confident or think that, anybody could do this. I know it's strange. I know it is. And this will be even stranger for you to hear, I'm sure. But it's not all suffering. Like, there are times in every race that I've done, times particularly at night when I'm alone and things are hurting, that I sense an intense calm. And I don't know really what to call it, but in almost every race that has happened to me, and I get a feeling of everything's going to be okay. And I'm not talking about the race. I'm talking about everything is going to be
Total
okay.
enlightenment, you guys.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't change my life. It doesn't last. It's fleeting. But I experience it almost every time, and man, it's going to keep me coming back.
Now, is it different than a runner's high? We hear the term a runner's high. How is that different than that then?
Yeah, the runner's high, you feel good running, right? Like suddenly things aren't hurting and you're just like in a flow and you're just kind of moving well.
Right.
This is different. This is internal. This is like mental kind of calmness. You know what I mean? And the pain doesn't necessarily gone away. It's just like, everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Life is very simple. It's just me moving, and that's it. And it's pretty enlightening.
And is your body kind of like on automatic at that point? I mean,
Yeah, it is kind of more.
Because did you fall? Did you fall at all during the 100 miles?
No. Nope, I didn't fall.
Really? Okay.
I also want to mention, though, that I had a wonderful friend named Brent Holcomb from Genoa who met me at an aid station at about 10:30 p.m. and ran with me for like 6 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to help pace me and keep me accompanied through the night and that kind of stuff. So.
And were you alone a lot, or were there other runners around keeping your kind of pace?
No, it's once the thing spreads out quite a bit, you can find periods where you're alone for maybe even a couple of hours. Where you don't see anybody else.
Now, I printed up what might happen to you if you run 100 miles, and it's kind of scary, the list here. Muscle damage and strain. Now, obviously, you couldn't continue to go if you had something serious go wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But obviously cramps along the way and things.
Some cramps, yeah. And some people deal with really bad blisters.
Yeah, that I was thinking, because, I mean, once you develop it, what do you do then?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to treat it, number one. Like, some people try to muscle through, but you got to stop at an aid station and hopefully you're carrying something in your pack, like some moleskin or something to treat it. But I took a very different approach. I took 5 pairs of shoes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And socks. And and you can put a bag together and they'll take it to an aid station ahead of you. So it's there waiting on you.
Okay.
And so along the way, I changed shoes 4 times. And I did not get any blisters, not a single one.
That's funny. In my note, I wrote down Michael Jordan would wear a brand new pair of gym shoes every game. If you knew that. He would always wear a brand new pair of shoes. You had 5 pairs of shoes set up.
Yeah.
But what about the socks? I would think the socks are critical.
Yeah,
I remember
the
a
socks
movie, Full Metal Jacket, if you ever see that one, where he comes and gets to Vietnam and says, you got to take care of your feet. You got to take care of your feet. And that's so important, isn't it?
It is. And also, I will tell you this from both my military experience and this. When you change into a nice, fresh pair of socks, your world just changes. I don't know what it is about that psychologically, but you put on fresh socks, you're like, all right, this is awesome.
Well, that is awesome how you get through it. So it's everything cardiovascular stress. Running at an ultramarathon puts stress on the heart, with many finishers showing elevated troponin, marker that can indicate heart damage. So do you worry about stuff like that, do you?
I don't. I'm pretty good about getting checked out every year as well. And I'm right now, everything is like top notch, like no problems, no issues. I don't really worry too much about that.
Were there any stragglers along the way that you saw that weren't going to make it?
For sure, yeah. I did see a few people who definitely were not going to make it.
Well, good idea. All right. And then hormonal imbalance.
Oh, no.
I know she looked a little different when he came in, Dave. No. Stress hormones like cortisol rise, which can interfere with sleep and leave you feeling both excited and stressed. How was that the day after? Was that really adjusting tough time period for you?
Yeah, it was. Like, you would think the night after that race, you would sleep like the dead.
Right.
And I never sleep well. I'm just so uncomfortable. Like, everything is sore and all those things. And I kind of just lay awake. I'll usually eat. By then, I'm really hungry in the middle of the night, the first night. And so I'll eat. But the next night, like the dead.
But your body comes back. Your body, with that much, because I know when the military, you've probably pushed your body a lot to the limit.
Yeah, maybe nothing like this, of course, but for sure, yeah, it does. It's an amazing thing, the human body.
And then potential long-term heart and kidneys. So, but again, that's not. Are you planning to continue to doing this, or?
I think so. I've got a couple of goals in mind.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I want to do kind of the iconic endurance races in the United States, right? So my first goal was to do Boston. And by the way, it took me 11 attempts to qualify.
To qualify for the Boston Marathon.
I
really?
finally did it. And then I wanted
And what is the qualifying, Dave? What is it?
Well, it's based on your age and gender. But at the time I was doing it, I needed a 3:10, which I think it's much harder even today now. But in my age group, like in my 30s, I needed like a 3:10 marathon, and I tried and failed many times. But then I wanted to do Kona, the Ironman World Championships.
Right, and then we should point out you just did that.
Yeah,
and,
I did that in October, and so now for the 100-mile distance, the Boston Marathon of the 100-mile distance is the Western States.
Okay.
Endurance run.
Well, I've seen desert runs where they're out there running hundreds of miles in the desert. So just add that in the mix, huh?
Yeah. There's a couple of those too. Like Moab 240 is really, really big. And then, oh man, I'm losing. I just had a brain cramp on what the other big one was. Oh, Badwater. Badwater is like 135 miles. A lot of it through the desert. So
is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I looked this up and I was amazed to see that the record for this, the fastest 100-mile ultra distance, and this goes back to 2022, so maybe it's been surpassed, was Alexandro Sorokin, 10 hours and 51 minutes, 39 seconds. Did it in Israel.
Does it say what the average, what he was averaging for pace?
No, see, they did for the other girl, but not for the female champ. The fastest 100-mile ultra distance by a male was sanctioned by the IAU, right? The International...
athletics something, I think. I don't know.
Association of Ultra Runners. I didn't know there was such a thing. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
10 hours and 51 minutes, 39 achieved by Alexander Sorokin of Lithuania on January 7, 2022. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Sorokin was competing in the Spartanian 12-hour race.
Oh, geez.
Where he also broke the 12-hour ultra running record as well. So some of these races are just for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And
there are definitely different formats for ultra marathons.
And then the woman winner, Calatrona Jennings of Ireland, no less, set the record in the Tunnel 100-mile race in Vienna, Illinois. In November of 2025, she broke the previous record, which she also set on the same course in American ultra runner Camille Herron. But she averaged, where do I have that, 7.46 seconds per mile.
Per mile.
For 80 miles.
I know.
Was there many male, female? What was the ratio there as far as you saw?
I think it was more male, but not by a lot. You know, if I had to guess, I would say it was probably like 70-30, maybe 65-35, something like that. Interesting fact, too, they've done studies where there is a distance, and that distance is like around, I think it was like 100, I'm not going to say for sure. But anyway, there is a distance to where the sex-based advantage disappears.
Oh, is that right?
And that women then begin to become more successful beyond that distance. There was a ultra runner named Pam Reed who for years would beat all men in some of these ultra marathon races.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway.
Is that maybe body fat? Or do women have the extra little body fat to get them through?
Well, there's a little bit of that. There's also a theory about pain tolerance.
Oh,
Yeah, you know.
I remember saying if men want to know what having a baby feels like, grab your upper lip and pull it up over the top of your head. Oh, what that feels like.
Yeah.
So again, the record, I mean, you've trimmed down, like you said, to qualify for the marathon, you had to trim your time down. And how did you do that? Like miles per, just knock a few seconds off each mile? Or how did you obtain that better time?
For Boston, I was mostly trying to hold a realistic pace for the first 20 miles and then back it off a little, leave myself enough room to back it off a little bit for the last 6 because you almost always slow down. But again, I failed to do that so many times. And honestly, the thing that finally got me to the qualifying time was simply just volume. Like I ran more training I didn't really do any like specific speed work that was all that different.
Okay.
But I had to run a lot more than I thought I needed to get to that.
And then the
endurance.
days leading up, because what do you do with the marathon? Do you run a practice marathon a couple days before? Or
No, for the marathon, you actually probably should never run the full distance getting ready.
real? Okay.
Yeah. 20 miles is about the limit that you should probably do a long run preparing for a marathon, because beyond 20, you're doing some pretty significant damage and you need to recover. And that recovery, you're losing training time as
Right.
you recover. And if you ignore it and try not to recover, you're going to be in even worse shape. So most people train up to about 20 miles, and that's about 2 or 3 weeks before the marathon, and then they won't go any further than that until race day.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, is it wrong for one man to ask another man about chafing? Because I immediately thought about with the 100 miles, we got a lot of parts of the body getting rubbed against with the things. How do you provide that? How do you prevent that?
Yeah, I've seen some terrible chafing.
I can imagine.
I've not experienced anything really bad, but I have been with other men who have had some really bad chafing, particularly in the inner thigh area. But
Yeah.
you've got to keep it. You got to keep it lubricated. Like there's plenty of products out there, and I definitely used some during Hennepin to keep those areas well lubricated to keep from chafing. But it could be horrible. Yeah.
I bet. So your worst problem was what then in the 100 mile? Running 100 miles in 25 hours. What was the worst problem you had then?
I think just really getting sore, like joints, like my ankles got really sore, my hips, my knees were okay, but just getting really sore, and then mentally just keep moving. It's really, that's really what it's all about. Is to keep, they call it relentless forward progress. That's all that matters.
And relentless for his progress. And what about those last couple of miles? I mean, do you know what was the last couple of miles? Are there signs that say, hey, you're almost there? And did you get a little euphoria there just when you're so close then?
Yeah, for sure. Those last few miles also seem to be double the distance. Because you're like, it's got to be right up here. It's got to be right up here, and it's not. You got to keep going. But at this particular race, interesting thing is the last aid station is at I'd say 93.5, something like that. So you've only got 6.5 to go to the finish. And the aid station people there were very adamant that you not spend much time there.
Yeah.
Because I think they've seen people get there and kind of check out, okay, I got it.
Right.
I'm going to make it. And then they don't. And then they sit too long and they get tight and all those kind of things. So they were always like, okay, good. You're good, guy. You need to go. Let's go now. Get out of here.
Yeah, I wrestled back in the day, and back in the day, folks don't know you would go and you get weighed, and then you had a little time before you actually wrestled. So we were starving, of course. So I foolishly, the first time, ate a bunch of food and then went out and lost my cookies on the wrestling mat. I learned the process, and you can't do it all at once. And you can't, in terms of what you ate right after the race, was that something you had to be very careful about? Just kind of ease your body back?
I'll be honest with you. I've never been hungry after a race. I usually lose my appetite probably around miles 70 or 80.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I've taken on so much, particularly gels, those energy gels, and you've been drinking sweet.
What do you recommend people to drink on long runs like that?
Well, in long runs like that, something with a high sodium content is really important, like 1,000 milligrams or more. LMNT is one that I really like. Precision Hydration has a product as well. So something with a lot of sodium, and sometimes people will overdo it with the water. The water's good, but you need some sodium in there to really benefit you.
And what was it like when you got back? And obviously, a lot of people sponsored you. What were they saying to you? Because it didn't register me. I was at the meeting, one of the meetings there at the Sunrise Rotarians. You announced what you're doing, and I'm like, wait a minute, a marathon is how long? I'm like, that's almost four marathons you're running. It didn't quite register in my head. So when you asked people to sponsor you, did they do that question first and then sponsor you on both?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, and I will say, we've talked about doing triathlons before, right? And so usually when I'm interacting with people and they find out that I do Ironmans, they're kind of their expression is usually one of being impressed, like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. But when they find out that I've just run 100 miles, I usually get a quizzical, what? It's like, what is wrong with you? It's a very different reaction. So, yeah, I did have to really explain. They're like, you're going to run 100 miles?
And what did you generate, if I could ask? What were you able to bring in with the?
About 1,300.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and we ideally we should raise about $6,000, I think, per year, so that we can give out 3 scholarships to first-year people and then have 3 scholarships for second-year people. which is something we're just now starting to do. So that's $1,300 that we didn't have before.
Right.
So
I got to look at it that way. Tell us about your lovely wife, Dawn. Does she train with you? Was she, like you said, she's kind of along for the ride anyway, right? So
yeah. Well, she used to be a runner. She's not much of a runner anymore, but she's definitely a fitness nut. So she stays in shape, and she is definitely my rock. Like I will tell you, during Hennepin, there was a stretch of the trail that was about, I don't know, maybe 6 miles long. It was in the late afternoon. There was no cover, shade. You could not hide from the sun. And even though it was October, it was just hot. And there was just no way to getting around it. So when I got to the aid station at about mile 47, I really did think about quitting.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I really did, because I was so overheated, and the thought of going on was just killing me. But Dawn was there, and she was kind of like, all right, you know this is what it's going to feel like. She gave me a pep talk, and she kind of like, figuratively slapped me across the face a couple times. All right, now snap out of it. Let's go.
Watch what the expression "always darkest before the dawn," right?
That's
They say
right.
that's that's neat, though. That's really great that you got through that too. And well, I want to talk about your military time too, if you will. Because 28 years in the military, is that right? If I got that right?
Yeah.
And I don't have the list. I thought I had the list of the various accommodations you got through the years. But tell us about this. Do some just come anyway, David, after a certain amount of time? Or what are some of the clusters? You got all the clusters on your uniform there. Very impressive.
Yeah, there's some awards you get in the military for just being there. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. You get one. Like when you graduate from basic training, you get a ribbon.
Okay.
Okay, so you got the first ribbon on your uniform.
Well, that's earned. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You're earning it, no doubt about it. But then there's others for, like if you deploy to a combat area, they might have a campaign medal that everybody gets who went there, regardless of what you did. So yeah, for sure, some of those are oriented towards that. And then others are individual achievements where you've been recognized for doing a good job for something, and some commanders.
Do you have one that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I mean, I did receive the Bronze Star Medal for my time in Iraq. So I don't know. I was torn about that one because honestly, I don't really feel that I deserved it. But it came back on me because as a commander myself, I had given medals to soldiers who have said to me, "I don't really think I deserve this, sir." And I would say to them, "Well, guess what? You don't get a vote. I'm the only one who gets a vote, and I think you do. So you're going to take the medal."
Why did you feel like you didn't deserve it?
I was looking around. When you're in, particularly in a combat zone, you see people who do a whole lot more than you did. You also see people who did a whole lot less. And so I always felt like, oh, I'm somewhere in the middle. So, I didn't really feel like I did anything that was that extraordinary. But again, it kind of came back on me. I was like, well, it doesn't really matter what you think, Dosier.
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember a story during at the radio station I was doing, and it was about a military, the little segments that we did, this moment in World War II history it was. And I get emotional just thinking about it. This guy had his legs shot off with the machine gun, and literally got up, stuck his stumps into the mud where he was, regained his gun, and kept fighting.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
And ultimately met his demise there. But I mean, who does that? I mean, it's like, and you don't know, do you, until you're on the battlefield and what's actually going to happen. Because I always tell my wife and I had a buddy who was a Marine, I don't know how I would cut it. I like to think I would get through basic training, but I have no idea. But you don't know, do you, until you get out there.
No, you sure don't. You sure don't. And at one point in my career, I was stationed at the University of Oklahoma as an ROTC instructor. So I'm in a civilian community, and I'm making civilian friends. And one of the guys that I ran with was my age. We would go for long runs and train for a marathon together. And it's kind of funny you say that because at one point he looked at me and said, I've always wondered how I would fare in the military. And I looked at him and go, you know what? I've always wondered how I would fare outside of the military. We both wondered, I don't know if I could do that or not, but yeah.
Yeah, it becomes so much part of your life. And your life, you said that. And your dad was in the military, for 40 years, right? As a reservist, right?
Right, yeah. 40 years in the Army Reserves, yeah.
So I always say nurture versus nurture. Do you think you would do what you did if your dad wasn't in the military?
No, okay. I really don't. Yeah, I really don't. I know I said I went to the military for college money, but also, I saw him all the time going to reserve drills, or he'd be gone for 2 weeks in the summer for his annual training. And I know he was proud of his service and being a part of that. And so, you don't get any more money, by the way, beyond 30 years.
Okay.
That's it. You've maxed out. You can't. So for the fact that he stayed 40 tells you quite a bit about how he felt about his service. Yeah.
That's great, too. And then let's talk about some of the places you've been. You mentioned Kosovo. Just give me, like the psychiatrist, give me a couple words on each one. You were in Fort Riley, Kansas, Korea. What was life in Korea there?
Yeah, Korea.
South Korea, obviously.
Yeah, South Korea. When you think about Korea, and I would often talk to my junior soldiers who were there, because they never really seem to think about this kind of stuff. But look at big picture. Like, these two countries are still at war.
Yeah.
Technically. They're in a ceasefire right now. And I can promise you, if you and I weren't here, they would be fighting. Like, we're playing a big part of history here, being here and those kinds of things. So,
and in Korea, you got the demilitarization zone, right?
Yeah.
Between the two. I mean, that's so scary.
Yeah, it is. And we did a lot of big exercises where we would kind of simulate that the war happened.
Right.
And then we would go to our positions and spend a couple of weeks kind of going through practicing what we would do. So it was a very real, sobering kind of assignment. Yeah.
I bet, yes, sobering is a good word for that. Kosovo, you were there as well. Tell us about Kosovo.
Yeah, Kosovo. I was there part of K42, which is the second group in to do a peacekeeping mission.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, as a personal growth kind of perspective, that was an important mission to me because it was the first time I went somewhere where people didn't like us. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Growing up here in America, first of all, we're always the good guys. We're always the heroes. And when
Yeah, so that's a great story. That's amazing. So, and then Ottawa, and we're not talking about Ottawa, Illinois here,
No.
right? You were in Ottawa, Canada. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting assignment. I was assigned there as an exchange officer. So me and a Canadian officer switched places.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so this is part of a program to encourage professional development and a little learning about how other countries do it. And so we share expertise. And so he went to Fort Stewart, Georgia, I think. And then I went to Ottawa, and I basically took his place. He took mine.
Oh, cool.
And I was there for 2 years. I got to work in the Canadian Expeditionary Forces Command headquarters. And I got sent to Afghanistan a couple times while I was there with the Canadians. And it was really interesting. When I got to Afghanistan, first of all, I have an American uniform on, but I had to draw Canadian equipment. So I'm walking around the base with American uniform on, a Canadian helmet, a Canadian rifle. I can just, everyone's kind of looking at me like, who is this goober? Like, what is wrong with this guy?
This is goober. I love that. And then going back to Saudi Arabia, now when we hear about us selling this highly technical military equipment, they obviously have to know how to use it, right? I mean, you have to have somebody there who can fly that thing, right?
Right. Yeah, and actually, they send their pilots to our flight school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and that was part of my job. One of my jobs was to facilitate that process. So I would work with the U.S. Embassy there in Saudi Arabia to make sure all the paperwork was set, because it's a year to a year and a half long training.
I bet.
And so they take their families with them, and so I had to coordinate all of that process.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then we have Kandahar, Afghanistan. You were talking about being there. Was it awful? What was Afghanistan like?
No, Afghanistan. I mean, first of all, it's strangely beautiful. Right? It's a mountainous kind of desert area, so it's a very beautiful aesthetics kind of way, consideration. But it was also very cold. It was also very cold. But I didn't really get off the base much. I was mostly making PowerPoint slides.
But when you did get off base, was there a fear? Always a fear of it's a radical bomber coming up to you and just, I mean, you just don't know, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it happens. Right? You know it happens.
You know it
because
happens.
You hear it happens all the time. Yeah. So for sure it does. And if I could, I'll flash to Iraq. I didn't really feel stressed. Right. So I feel like, okay, I'm doing my job. Everything's fine. And then I got just a short like R&R, right? And where you're kind of in the rear. You're not in any threat. And as soon as I got there, I felt my whole body just kind of like relax.
Really?
Like I didn't realize I was so exhausted and keyed up until I got removed from the environment. And then it was like, oh, that actually is probably very stressful. And I'm just not processing or acknowledging that. Yeah.
So even that time away from the front lines will give you a little benefit. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why they try to put in a mid-tour leave for all soldiers who are going to be there for a year. They try to send them back to the States. It didn't work out for me. I didn't get to go back to the States during that time, but still I got a little break.
Now, when people talk about getting older, Becky and I, we're going to retire and we're talking about traveling. You've been to so many places now. Do you check all these off your list now, or is it different because you were in the military?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
totally different. Yeah, I don't really count those.
So they don't count then, are they?
No.
And are you going to run like a 100-mile race? So you want to stay here in America, basically?
Yeah, mainly. I will say they got a big one coming up in June.
Okay.
This one's
Now I
gonna
would
be-
like to sponsor you this time. Are you going to do that again with the sponsorship? I don't want a $100 call out, but I would like to sponsor you
Yeah.
because I think it's great what you're doing.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about maybe doing this again, but maybe I will.
Okay.
Yeah. But this one's going to be it's called the Bighorn 100. It's in Wyoming, and it's got about 20,000 feet of climbing.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so it'll be really hot at the bottom and snowing at the top when you get up there, and it'll definitely be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So I'm a
Not
little
a
nervous.
flat, straight run like you just did
No.
at the Hennepin. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm not going to say I'm confident, but I am committed. I'm committed to doing it, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, that's great. Well, like I said, we'd love to be there for you. And then to wrap things up, I found this when I was doing research for you. This was May 26, 2015. The son of Gerald and Claire Dosier of Canton, Lieutenant Colonel Dosier, was the speaker of the Canton Memorial Day service Monday in downtown Jones Park. So that's your hometown, Canton, huh?
Yeah, Canton.
Now, where is that from here?
That's about 3 hours south.
Okay.
And it's only about 40 minutes kind of southwest of Peoria.
And tell us about growing up there. Was it an idyllic childhood? What was that? Or were you on the move a lot with Dad?
No, I was born and raised in the same town. Canton had about 14,000 people, so similar to Sycamore in terms
Okay.
of size. And yeah, it was like just the all-American kind of hometown thing. I mean, I didn't realize I had it so good until I became an adult and I
Right.
got to look around and see other parts of the world. And like, yeah, that was actually a pretty good place to grow up. And to be invited to come back to your hometown
Yeah,
and
in
give
your
a
own
speech
park
on
there.
Memorial Day,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Now, were you an athlete then, back in the day?
I mean, I played. I played basketball and did a little track,
Okay.
but I spent most of my time at Kroger's bagging groceries.
All right. Well, good for you. There's the work ethic. I like that. But what about the military? Was that early in your life that you thought about getting in the military?
Yeah, well, I went to basic training in between my junior and senior year of high school.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, because I joined the Army Reserves initially as an enlisted soldier, went to basic training, and then did my senior year of high school, and then went back into the Army to do my job training, which was artilleryman at the time. So yeah, pretty early.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, I bet you were a different cat from that junior year to senior year. After
Yeah.
that. Man.
Yeah.
Why is
for sure.
Dozier so different, right?
Why is he so different? Why doesn't he have any hair?
And I want to end with this quote that you said when you were speaking to your hometown. Americans have will and moral courage our enemies don't realize we have. What do you mean when you say that, Dave?
Well, I just think there's something about the American spirit. We're fiercely loyal. We're fiercely protective of our identity and who we are and what we stand for in the world. And like I said, I think that probably most countries would underestimate that.
And they have in the past,
Yeah,
right? So,
for sure.
yeah, I watch a lot of the History Channel, and it's amazing to go back and see all the individual stories. So many young men that we lost, young men and women that, each story just so amazing. Like I tell you about the guy losing his legs and keeps fighting. Just
Yeah, it's amazing.
amazing stuff. Yeah.
Amazing people.
And finally, we're going to leave with a quote from your dad, Gerald Dosier, who served 40 years in Army Reserve, said he knew his son would be a military from a young age. He said, quote, "I'm really proud of him," meaning you. He'd always been a gentleman, and he'd always done his work as perfectly as it can be done. And another quote from him earlier I saw where he instilled respect in you, and you had respect for others, and you instilled that in the soldiers you train, right? Why is respect so important, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's key to communication, right? Like you don't want to communicate with somebody who clearly doesn't respect you, or so it's not going to be a genuine communication, a genuine interaction. So if you have this, combined this mutual respect, communication is going to go so much better. Yeah,
That's a good point.
I appreciate you bringing up my dad's quote. He passed away this year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
actually, so it was really cool to. I didn't even know there was a quote there from him.
Hey, tell us about your young son now. Is he leaning towards the military, or do you want?
No. My son Noah, he's 27 now, and he grew
Oh,
up. With,
that's right. The article it was from 10 years ago.
10 years, yeah. He's 27 now, and he grew up with what I call APR, automatic parental resistance. Anything that I liked or suggested, he immediately shut down. He was like, no, I don't want anything to do with the military. I don't want to be a runner. I don't want to do any of that stuff. But he works full-time at NIU in the HR department, and he's writing on the side. He really aspires to be a full-time professional author, and he's actually got a couple of books out right now. And so he's just hoping for a big break sometime.
I wanted to get him on the podcast. I think Becky told me that, but it's kind of a dry subject matter, right? What does he write about?
He writes about fantasy. His genre is mostly fantasy.
Okay.
So Lord of the Rings kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But he's also been branching out recently because he kind of wants to cast a wide net and see how it goes.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And do you notice as he gets older, does he have more respect for what you did in the military?
I don't know, TD. I'm not sure.
I didn't ask him that.
Yeah, I'd have to ask him that. Yeah.
But I'm sure he will as years go by there too. Well, we certainly appreciate what you've done. I tell you, 28 years in the military, just we thank you enough, and then raising money this way for helping out the Kishwaukee Sunrise Rotarian Scholarship Fund. So let us know, Dave, when you're doing that. Please, we'll have you back, and we'd love to talk about that. I just can't believe you ran. So let's remind people, you ran 100 miles in 25 hours, and you were so close then. Did you try to sprint there? No.
No.
You probably didn't have a sprint in you at that point.
I didn't. I had given up, like I said, I'd given up hours before that.
Well, we thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Dosier has been our guest here, and that's TD Ryan, Unleashed, podcast number 36.